We are about to go off on an adventure through time to discover the footprints that the daring Romans left behind in some of the most remote areas of the ancient world. Get ready to plunge headfirst into the fascinating realms of adventure, cultural encounters, and the unique legacy they leave behind. The Romans were renowned throughout history for their extraordinary contributions to the fields of engineering, architecture, and political administration. Nevertheless, were you aware that they were also enthusiastic explorers and travelers? Their empire encompassed a large amount of territory, and their insatiable curiosity compelled them to explore new regions, search for new resources, and look for new opportunities. Now that we have that settled, let's get ready to set sail on our virtual journey and learn the unseen stories of Roman exploration. The magnificent land of Arabia is our first stop, and we are excited to get there. The Romans were not only engaged in business, but they also had a profound curiosity with the enigmas that surrounded Eastern culture. They traversed perilous trade routes, traveled through deserts, and forged deep bonds with the various Arab tribes they encountered. The Romans were mesmerized by the abundant resources of the area, and as a result, they left their mark on the area by establishing trading posts and introducing Roman architecture. In addition, the Romans brought with them their legal system and the practices they used for government to Arabia. The idea of Roman law, which placed a strong focus on both justice and order, had a significant and long-lasting influence on the legal systems that were in place throughout the region. The Roman cities and villages in Arabia developed into cultural, administrative, and commercial hubs for the Roman Empire. As we investigate the Roman footprints in Arabia, it is essential to keep in mind that the Romans' effect was not restricted to merely invasion and exploitation of the region. The Romans were genuinely enthralled by the wealth of culture, information, and resources that could be found in the region. They participated in cross-cultural dialogues, adopted native ways of doing things, and ultimately left behind a legacy of engagement and reciprocal influence. Archaeological sites, ancient trade routes, and even the cultural fabric of the Arab world all bear signs of Roman occupation, which may still be observed today. The Romans dominated Arabia for centuries. The Romans, the Arabs, and other cultures all contributed to the formation of these regions' identities and histories, demonstrating the transformative potential of intercultural exchanges. The bustling metropolis of Alexandria, which is located in Egypt, will serve as our next destination on this trip. This city was not just a center of learning and culture, but also a significant hub for Roman commerce and adventure throughout the empire. The ancient Romans were the first people to investigate the Nile River, travel deep into the continent of Africa, and even undertake journeys to the mythical beginning of the Nile. Their insatiable hunger for information and ardent pursuit of uncharted territory recognized no bounds. As we continue our journey to the east, we will eventually arrive in the Indian subcontinent. The Romans were mesmerized by the unique things that could be obtained from this area, such as the many spices, valuable stones, and other opulent items. They built trading relations with a variety of Indian kingdoms, leaving behind a legacy of cultural interaction, as well as architectural marvels, such as the Roman amphitheater that was found in ancient Python. Moving on to the enormous continent of Central Asia, the Romans had a strong fascination with the Silk Road. The Romans were intent on establishing their presence along this old trade route that connected east and west, and they did so in order to capitalize on its profitable potential. Roman merchants traversed hazardous terrains such as mountains and deserts in order to create links with far-off nations such as China's Han Dynasty. Now let's travel even further north to the wild and untamed kingdoms of Britannia, which are shrouded in mystery. The Romans set their sights on this unforgiving island because they were interested in exploring it. They wanted to expand their empire, and it offered access to lucrative resources. They constructed spectacular buildings such as Hadrian's Wall, which served as a tribute to their technical prowess and an enduring symbol of Roman authority in the region. This wall functioned as a boundary between Roman-controlled territory and the rest of Britain. Let's take a trip now to the ancient city of Carthage, which may be found in what is now the country of Tunisia. During the Third Punic War, the Romans and the Carthaginians were involved in a number of battles, which ultimately led to the destruction of the Carthaginian city. Carthage was re-established by the Romans as a prosperous Roman colony after they realized the strategic significance of the coastal region in which it was located. Today, the ruins of Carthage endure as a reminder to the enduring conflict between the Romans and the ancient Carthaginians. As we move on from the Mediterranean, our next stop will be in the mysterious area of Mesopotamia, which is now a part of the country of Iraq. The Romans had a profound interest in the region known as the cradle of civilization, and as a result, they endeavored to comprehend and assimilate the wisdom of the ancient civilizations that had flourished in that region. The Roman Empire conquered areas of Mesopotamia and incorporated them into its wide rule, which brought Roman culture and influence to the lands it conquered. Let's go back across the Mediterranean Sea from where we were standing on the banks of the Tigris and Euphrates rivers. And this time we're going to proceed to the most northern part of the Roman Empire, which was the province of Britannia. Even though we touched on the Roman expedition in Britannia earlier, there is a significant amount more to learn about it. The Romans left an indelible stamp on the terrain by constructing towns, highways, and forts throughout their empire. They brought villas, baths, and Roman-style urban design to the area, which had a profound impact on the culture of the area for many centuries to come. Moving on, let's go to the ancient kingdom of Armenia, which was located in the east, sandwiched in between the Roman Empire and the Parthian Empire. The Romans' relationship with Armenia was fraught with tension. On occasion, they formed amicable partnerships with the Armenians, but on other occasions, they fought against them. Despite this, the Romans were able to leave their mark on the world through the construction of forts and roads, as well as the dissemination of Roman culture. The Armenian monarchy developed into a connection point between the Roman and Parthian cultures, hence easing the flow of trade and cultural interaction. As we get closer to the end of our voyage, we reach the region known as Hispania, which now comprises the countries of Spain and Portugal. The Romans had a significant presence in Hispania, as evidenced by the towns, colonies, and infrastructure they built there. They carried their language, architecture, and legal system with them, leaving behind an enduring legacy that is still seen today. Some examples of their remarkable architectural work include the Roman Aqueduct of Segovia and the Theater of Merida. These are just two of many instances. Our search for Roman ruins all around the world has led us to some extraordinary places. From the very center of Rome to the farthest reaches of Britannia, Armenia, and even farther afield. The Romans left behind a legacy of engineering marvels, cultural exchange, and a hunger for travel, all of which continue to be sources of motivation for us in modern times. As the end of our adventure draws closer, we find that we have arrived in the New World, where the Romans have unexpectedly left their mark. You did indeed hear it correctly. Even though there is no direct evidence that the Romans ever traveled to the Americas, their cultural imprint can be seen there because of the ties formed by other ancient civilizations. For instance, the Romans and the Mayans both used comparable building practices for their structures, which points to the possibility of cultural interaction despite the presence of the Atlantic Ocean between the two groups. Our travels throughout the world in search of Roman ruins have been nothing short of amazing and fascinating. The Romans left an unmistakable impression on the far-flung frontiers that they explored, from the deserts of Arabia to the jungles of India, and their legacy lives on today. Their travels brought together people of many various cultures, encouraged the trading of goods and the sharing of information, and even shaped the architectural traditions of other ancient civilizations. But why is it so crucial for us to comprehend and value these Roman footprints in the modern world? Well, by gaining an understanding of the ancient civilization's connection through the study of their explorations, we can do just that. We come to understand the significance of human curiosity and the desire to investigate uncharted territories. It serves as a reminder to us that our ancestors, despite the constraints of their time, were able to leave behind legacies that are enduring and continue to affect the world we live in today. Our adventure covering Roman footprints all around the world has finally come to a conclusion. I really hope that this virtual exploration of the farthest frontiers and the never-before-told stories of Roman adventure was enjoyable for you. Keep in mind that history is not only about the past, rather it is a tapestry of experiences that both bind us to our origins and motivate us to explore new horizons on our own. If you found this video entertaining, please consider giving it a like, spreading the word about it, and subscribing to our channel so that you can see other fascinating explorations of the past. Please, as usual, express your thoughts and ideas in the comments section below. Keep up your adventurous spirit until we meet again.